This video is sponsored by Loot Crate.
So a story about C3PO and how he got his red arm. Sounds pretty stupid, right? Well, you would be right, and also it's kind of interesting. Hey guys, welcome to my Geek Talk. Today let's discuss the Star Wars special, C3PO and the Phantom Limb. Setup for the story, I've always disliked the notion of C3PO and his red arm. It always felt like a cash grab scheme. It was kind of like let's make a new C3PO action figure, and like the way he kind of brings it up in the movie itself, it's like, oh, you must be wondering about my red arm, and it's such a silly thing, I think. And the explanation for it, like the whole setup for this comic, what actually happens and the way he gets his red arm is kind of, for one, something we would expect, and two, it's not that significant, the way it goes down and the whole mystery behind his red arm. But the writers of this comic did a very good job of the story itself. And with that, I mean that C3PO is with a band of droids, one of which is a First Order droid, and they have this conversation about droid sentience, and part of the Phantom Limb is supposed to be referring to, you know, people who have missing arms. They usually have the feeling of it still being there. The droids talk about how when their memory is wiped, they think about what memories they used to have. Like C3PO remembers being in the Petronaki arena, and he remembers Mustafar and all this stuff, even though he got his memory wiped. And then they talk about like just allegiances and how they know their allegiance to their side, whether it's the First Order, the Republic, the Resistance, the Empire, or whatever. It's always set by their programming, and they have conversations about their programming, but also how they rationalize their programming with sentience, because they all have sentience programmed into them so that they can speak more to humans and they can relate more to humans. And there's this whole thing of butting heads of, you know, your programming versus how you are as a soul, kind of, you know. And that's something that I was not expecting from this comic, to have conversations and questions like that within the scope of this comic. So I like it for that. I was not expecting that, and I'm very much enjoyed that something like that was brought up. A lot of what we had so far with droids was kind of just being funny. Like we had a 000 in the Darth Vader comics, and he's more like of an HK-47 type character, and he's got like this really dark humor. But we haven't really got, you know, how droids feel, and kind of like the discrimination droids kind of get, you know, because they are just machines, they're just robots. You get a little bit of that in the original A New Hope novelization about, like, you know, how droids were kind of discriminated against and how they really were not even second class citizens, third, fourth, fifth class citizens, and that kind of a thing. So yeah, honestly, I actually would say I would recommend this comic if you want to, you know, think about that kind of a thing and read something about that. I think it was very interesting from that standpoint. Definitely not that great in the sense of it explaining like his arm. I mean, it does explain it, but that wasn't the most interesting thing about this comic book, not at all. In terms of the artwork, I felt like the artwork was a little bit busy. Like the color palette was just too vibrant for me. The hue was way too much. There was too much going on in each panel. It wasn't my favorite comic to look at. But the story itself, I think, was actually pretty solid. Actually, if you're into droids and thinking about just, you know, artificial intelligence or just artificial sentience, yeah, give this a read. I'm actually surprised I'm saying this, but yes, I recommend C3PO and the Phantom Limb. But that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. Peace, love, and may the Force be with you always.
Luke's open and calm mind allowed for a more adaptable fighting style, while Anakin's reliance on talent and aggression was a bit more rigid.
No, why are you mowing your lawn right now? I'm recording a Let's Play.